Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike, the Erudite DM, and I have a good friend and a special guest here tonight, Flint Fireforge. Flint, how are you, sir?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. For those who don't know, Flint was the first GM I played Shadow Dark with. My
That is
first
true.
exposure to the game a couple of years ago. So,
Glad I didn't
also
ruin it.
yeah, I also want to. No, you did not ruin it that long time. Although I still don't have much affinity for Muggle Blob and
Muggle blob. Yeah.
catfish Eldritch blobs. I'm not sure my thing. But if I never played another game with mushrooms
Mm.
or a couple of the other tropes, I'd be a happy camper. But every once in a while, you need a good magic mushroom.
That's right.
That sounds bad. Um, anyway, so Paul is doing this series. I say Paul Turner, aka Flint Fireforge. He and I have played together now for quite a while. Not as much these days, but we'll get back to it, I'm sure, at some point. Paul and I were at North Texas last June. And are you going this year? Are you planning for
That
return?
depends entirely on my daughter, as
Cool.
she will be having her first baby.
Oh, I
Then,
thought you were saying she had the keys to the car or something like
well, kind of. She's got the keys,
that. In a
so
metaphoric sense, she does
they're
have
in
the
her
keys
belly.
Is this
Uh,
would this be grandchild number one for you guys?
numero uno, yes.
Oh, I'm jealous. Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, but all of my friends obviously are, and you're happy for them. But you're like, "God, I sure would like to get in this game."
Well, I'm late. I mean, I think even amongst our own friends,
Yeah,
people we know whose kids are already. I mean, we're late to the game. So what are you gonna do?
yeah,
But I'm happy for her and happy for us. And if depending, look, if the baby's born, let's say end of May, there's hope. If the baby's born, we think it's going to be born after the first week of June. Well, then we'll
it'll be
have
tricky.
to juggle. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. No, totally understand. But I hope it works out. I hope she's wonderful and you have a beautiful new grandchild. I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
But a little selfishly, I hope you get to make it for a couple of days over to Dallas too. So
yeah, I do. I do too. I do
that
too.
was,
Had a great
that was
time
a lot
last
of fun. But so anyway, enough old guy talk. The reason we are here is somewhere around Christmas, maybe it was New Year's. Paul put out a video that he was going to start a new series, and I'm
year.
paraphrasing. I'm calling it 30 NPCs in 30 days. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah. So every day he is cranking out a relatively short video, under 5 minutes, sometimes under 3 minutes,
Mhm.
easily digestible, all about colorful, interesting NPCs that you can use for encounters in a system agnostic approach, right, Paul?
Yeah. Yep.
D&D, be whatever you're playing,
Yeah,
Shadow.
whatever you want to throw that
Yeah,
NPC into, you can.
yeah, and some could probably be used in a cyberpunk game and with a little twisting
Oh
easily,
yeah.
or a space game.
Sci-fi it up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I love that. So, tell us, what was the inspiration? Where did you get on to? Hey, I like NPCs. I like writing them. I can do this for a full month. I'm not sure I could do 30 straight days of anything, much less.
Well, last year, let me tell you, this is easy this year as compared to last year, which was 30 dungeons in 30 days,
I remember that.
which I did last. So for this round, the NPCs was I felt like I needed to, populate, my world of Kre'ash a little bit more. And I said, well, if I do the 30 days, it'll automatically give me 30 NPCs all around what's called the Land of the Gods and in the southeast part of Kre'ash. And so I said, well, I'll do this because I enjoy the the um, the creative process, obviously, but I also like good NPCs. I also like coming up with those kinds of characters that you could drop into a game and make that adventure all the more realistic, or at least engaging, I should say. Maybe that's a better word, to make it even more engaging. So, I thought, well, NPCs, everybody kind of needs NPCs from time to time, time and again. So I said, I'll go with NPCs.
And these are stellar NPCs. These are, and all NPCs are not created equally. Let's admit, there is the NPC we all have in our games who is the blacksmith that
Yeah.
you go talk to for 2 seconds, but really you're buying something or you're having something repaired. You may not
Um,
even know that name.
yeah.
There's the beggar that you see on the street and ask for your party, ask for directions to the temple you're searching for, and you toss them a copper. End of encounter. never had a name, and you don't need them. That's fine. Those are those low level encounters that keep the game moving forward and fill in the world, I think. But what you have here, in my opinion, are the type of NPCs kind of custom delivered to our door that you can just kind of pick and choose which ones you want. And I'm going to show them some of these on screen, but um, Paul starts these videos out with, like, he goes media res. He's right into, this person, and they're all named, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're all named. And he'll basically give you the hook right off the bat. So he starts right in the middle with, this person is this and this, but he tells you their motivations, and he tells you about rivalries, and he tells you a little bit of their backstory, all in just a couple of lines. And it's just brilliant, because I think it does two things. It sets it up for the GM to say, oh, I want to use this when there's some stuff I recognize that would fit well in my world. I don't need to railroad my players, but I can present them with this character, and it may lead to other things.
Yeah.
And I like that you leave it open on all of these when you describe them and you talk about them. That we were just talking before we went live. I suffer with the perennial GM problem of not giving enough agency to my players. I like to write a story that I think is brilliant, and I see them going from here to here, and I know how it's going to work out, and here's their big, I'm producing a film or a book or something, and I need to get better and better at, no, I present a world of choices and unfold that for the players. That's what you're doing in a micro sense, I feel, with all of these. And something just struck a chord with me, and I said, this is really, really smart and a great resource for people to use.
Well, movies unfortunately suffer from this. That's why we have 2.5-hour movies, because directors think all their stuff is important, like every second, and they have to put it out there. Like they hate editing machines. Like they have to have it in 2.5 hours because everything in it is brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm like, no, I'm going to say not so much. May want to edit that.
I think Hemingway, I believe it was Hemingway, had a very crude term for it, but he called it killing your puppies, which means something you love that
your darlings, isn't it?
Well, it could be darlings. I've heard it as puppies, but
you've heard puppies.
I heard it in advertising, working with copywriters, and you write up an idea, you write a commercial, and you just think, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then you pitch it to the rest of your comrades, and they're like, crickets. That's all you're like, okay, I guess I'm back to the drawing board. So, which is interesting, because as GMs, we don't often have that kind of feedback, do we? We write up a one shot, or we write up a whole setting, or we write up a mini campaign. And for the most part, unless you pass this around with your friends, or you have the luxury of play testing it, you ain't going to know. You're not going to know what's really good. You think you know what's good, and you hope it. I think, again, the most critical issue is give them some color, give them some motivations, give them a little glimmer of a backstory. But like we were saying before we went live, give them enough space. Less is more. And you obviously get this. Less is more. Give them space to be able to fill in and take it where they want to take it as a GM, then present it in their game. And then it's up to the players. The players can explore this, so they can say, oh, that's neat. We met this person. Oh, okay. We're back on our way over to that other, ale house now, because we want to go browsing or whatever it is. Okay. That's fine. In that sense, it's no different than a point crawl or a hex crawl or anything else. You're presenting the choices. It's up to them to follow what they want to follow.
Right. And I think that's, if you're doing a sandbox, if you're doing a real sandbox, I mean, that's, you're putting out there for your players. Like, it's really player forward to say, hey, here's an engaging guy. Your players want to, they want to change their minds. They want to go somewhere else. They want to do something else. If you're putting them in that type of, sandbox where there's, the bulletin board of things or the interesting people they meet, and depending on, that kind of thing, it gives them the room to be able to do that. And as a DM, if you have a NPC with a little bit of background, right? If just a little bit that says, oh, this could turn into something because I know a couple of things about this NPC they don't know, right? So as a DM, we're coming up with maybe a random NPC, and like you said earlier, they're the person you meet. They are they do exposition. They're there to tell what is some form of information somebody needs. But what I've tried to do with, at least with these NPCs, is give them a little bit of backstory. Like my latest one, you know, the NPC, the captain of the guard, you know, he has in this particular case, you know, you can meet a captain of the guard, and it can be very, um, you know, average in that regard. But if you're looking at somebody like this captain, well, he has a brother who happens to be this is Captain Kenrick Warhorn, by the way. In his story, at least, he has a brother who's a part of a group called the Watch, which I hinted in the video. Can you name? Did you watch the video? I won't put you on the spot.
Actually, I saw that one. It was released today, I believe. I watched it today, this morning.
Do you remember what movie I referenced?
You did. It was Beverly Hills Cop, and he's like the police captain or something, the commissioner or something.
Right. But I also referenced
the stereotypical, always angry, pissed off police boss.
But I also referenced another movie.
Oh, geez.
And it showed the 3 police officers. Damn. It's actually Dirty Harry.
Oh no, I didn't.
Magnum Force.
I didn't remember that one. Yeah.
And in that, you know, there's these 3 renegade cops that Harry has to deal with. In that, and I thought I got some inspiration from that if his brother's like one of these, you know, just these renegade guards who just are out there, you know, taking matters into their own hands. So you have that little bit of connective tissue somehow. And I tried to, at the end of, you know, in the midst of the video, give you ways that you might encounter. It's not just one way you may encounter the guard. It's maybe 2 or 3 different ways your party may encounter the guard. And so, you know, it could be through Erasmus. It could be through, you know, all your players are getting you know, his favorite place is Kruber Bing kebabs. So maybe your people are eating on the street or in this particular place within you know, within my little Guardian Grove city that I have, and you're, you know, getting a bite to eat, and well, then there's the captain of the guard just standing there, or maybe they go to find him at his favorite place to eat. So I try to make it to where there's at least 2 or 3 different ways you may encounter that particular NPC.
Yeah, and that gives them each some depth. That's why I think these are so much more than just a standard NPC. And you know, NPCs traditionally are a great way to dump some lore, to share a rumor, or a little intel with the party. And if that's where you leave it, that's great. But any good GM could take any one of these characters, and they're probably going to have favorites. I encourage you all to go to Paul's channel. It's in the show notes. The link to the playlist is also in the show notes. And watch these. It won't take you a lot of time. You could pull just one of these out for your next session. And I'm not saying it's going to lead to a whole mini campaign. It may not, but they're like little hooks for mini campaign or next session starters, because they weave relationships and more complex backstory, motivations, those kind of things, you know, worldview, what this character is really about. Because when that character meets your players, they really probably don't give a whole hoot about your players or your characters. They may not care about their problem, but if they go on with the role play, and maybe they decide to go sit down and break bread somewhere at the tavern, or maybe they help them do something, you're going to get a little bit more of one of these other tangents Paul is describing. And maybe, you know, and I need to be better at this I need to be able to fly by the seat of my pants. You know, you played with Chubby Funster the other night. I think he did. Of course, it was his Shadow Rim setting that he wrote for Shadow Dark. So yeah, he's like, I didn't have time, because he's very busy at work, like we all are at the beginning of the year here. I think he did like 15 minutes of prep, but you know, maybe we're not all that good. But this is a wonderful little tool to have in your arsenal for a game. Because again, you don't have to use them all. And by the end of the month, you're going to have 30, right? I mean,
that's right.
Your reputation is riding on this, Paul. You promised us 30.
Wow. You know what? I'm glad that I don't have that great a reputation, because it could. You
didn't know I was going to put pressure on you. You must see this through and finish it. No, I think it's a great project. I'm really, you know, I hope the enthusiasm is coming through and people realize that, okay, Mike's stoked about this, and he's as lazy as they come. So if it's a good, easy tool that he can use in his game, I could certainly do wonders with it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm here to do, inspire the lazy. That's what I'm.
Aren't we all really? I
That's
mean,
my whole. That's
I
my
think
whole goal here.
we've all established that 99% of the people we're talking to on here are all GMs also.
Sure.
I was in the newspaper business when those were a thing back in the 90s, small papers. But I know one thing about newspaper editors, they're all lazy. They all wait until the deadline to fill in the rest of the issue that's coming up, the next
Yep.
edition. So whatever is at hand, whatever press releases, whatever fluff they have ready to go, that's what fills out the rest of the paper, and they stuff in there. Same when you're planning a session. I'm actually, on a side note, my old 5e group, when I first met you, I was just starting that up. These are 30 to 35-year-old nephews, nieces, and so on. We're playing for the first time in almost a year tomorrow night here at my house in person, and we're playing Shadow Dark. I finally said, please, please, please. It'll feel like 5e. We just don't have the books with 500 pages that we have to go refer. It is so much easier, leaner, faster. See if you like. So I'm kind of testing it with them tomorrow night, and I'm sitting on the fence. I know that I have enough time to pick one of these, and it may be the Debt Collector, but I'm not. I'm trying to show them the system, so there's not going to be a lot of role playing in a town or anything. It's pretty much
Right.
the dungeon and let's go. Stumble around and worry about a torch timers.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And, just tell them, look, it's just like 5e, just with 99% more death.
Exactly. Well,
That's all.
if you do it right.
If you do it right.
Do you have a favorite out of these so far, Paul? I mean, I'm showing some of them on screen. Did any of them, because it was maybe inspired by a film or a book or a comic book or wherever it came from, any of these you like better or has a special place in the old heart so far? And I realize you're only a third of the way through the series.
Yeah, and it's I kind of like Clover Honeyspoon.
I saw her today. That's the one with the lyre, isn't it?
Yeah, with the lyre, and she is part of her family is the honey magnates. Her father Finian Honeyspoon, and she doesn't want any part of the business. She is just constantly running away and wants to go just play music. Like, just leave me alone. I don't run my life, Dad. And he has to send his honey thugs after her, and go find her and bring her back, so that she can assume the role of being in charge when he's gone and that stuff. And she's like, I don't want to learn any of this stuff. She's trying to get to Skyreach and participate in the Lyre of Legends, and try to at least compete. She's pretty good, but I in my mind, I think I thought of it like halfway through the video. I really did not have a person in mind until I started. Then I thought about irresponsible. Who's just irresponsible? And I thought of Dudley Moore in Arthur. I said, there's an irresponsible guy. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff. He doesn't want to run businesses. He doesn't want to take care of the money. He just wants to sit around and play and hang out with Liza Minnelli. That's all he wants to do. And so I thought, well, that's pretty good. I think that's a fair, at least the best comparison I could come up with. But I liked her just because she was, a bit of a nuisance and a bit of a wild hare, an uncontrolled type of thing. And so I thought, but I kind of like her.
Yeah, and in a fantasy, call it a fantasy medieval setting, at least if you're using in something like D&D or Shadow Dark or something, there is that idea of maybe the spoiled rich kid or the entitled child whose father is the duke or their mother is the queen, and they have a whole different set of problems than the farmer's children or the weaver's son who doesn't want to be a weaver and join the guild. He dreams being a poet. Well, good luck. Almost all these different, if you will, class strata levels, there are young people who are forced into a role in these worlds, just like there are and were in our world, in the real world.
Right.
They don't want what the world has planned for them. They want something bigger and different. I mean, that's almost the kind of NPC that could break out and become a player character. Let's be honest.
Well, and I've had some other people say that too. That
really,
that's I'd play that character. Like, that's inspiration for me to want to play that character. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's what do I want to say? Unassuming, but a surprise, basically. A surprise thing that came out of this was that people found that these were great characters they wanted to play themselves.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, hey, that's, you just hit on something there. That is the mark, I think, of a good NPC. If that NPC, if you could imagine them as a player character, maybe that's a good test to say, hey, that one's really good for a deeper possible encounter, possible role play that goes further than a 30-second conversation about, hey, which way is the market, you know?
Well, yeah, and it gives we talk about people, complain a lot about DMs do, I should say, DMs and others complain about backstories,
Mhm.
right? The 4-page, I don't know who's writing these 4-page backstories. They're not me. I don't know who's doing that, but these NPCs take up 1 page. It's like 3 paragraphs, and I've tried my best to be as descriptive and to give them quirks. Like each one of them has a quirk, or like example, Clover can break glass with her voice, so she can hit super high notes. That's her quirk. That's what she can do. And so, when you have these little things, that I think those are what DMs really want. They don't want the 4-page. That's fine. You don't want a 4-page backstory. Great. Then what you're looking for is maybe just a few lines and a few threads to pull on. And I think, I've tried to do that as best I can with NPCs, because then you can, take that character somewhere else. It could really be fleshed out if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, 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 which is a great resource for any GM, really, who gets it and understands the value of what you presented here. A wonderful tool on many different levels beyond just. I mean, I like, I don't have Shadow Dark right here, but Shadow Dark, Knave, any of them have good NPC tables, and those are handy. Those are
Yeah.
those
Oh
random
yeah.
NPCs, and you can run with those too. But having, what is your plan? Jumping ahead, we get to the end of the month here. Are you going to put all these together? And I pray you're going to put these together in a
Oh
zine
yeah.
and slap them on drive through, because
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
would pay to go buy that for sure. I get your Crit Happens, but I would really love to have this one too.
Yeah, it's going to be, yeah, I'm gonna put them all in a zine, and it's only gonna be, roughly about 38, 39 pages. Including in this, what I'm gonna include is, I'm gonna make these little cards. They're not gonna be physical cards, but you can print them out on card stock. That if you wanna just have them on a card and have them with you, you can take them out, put them at your table, and you have, 4 cards or whatever you wanna have at your side there, that these are some NPCs they may run into, that may have nothing to do with your adventure per se. You can include them that way, or they could truly be random and say, "Oh, I'm going to pick that one, and we're going to, put that there." So you'll be able to cut them out and have them that way. So, and then I've taken my Kre'ash map, and I don't know if I can share my
You can, you
screen.
should be able to, or I can change that setting and
Let
give you.
me, here we go.
There you go. Guest can
So
control
let
all
me
presentation.
go down here. This is the map I'm going to include. This is the map of Kre'ash, the what I currently have, and as you can see there, I have all the dots of where they are.
I just hang on a sec. Okay, I'm approving it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, God,
Yeah,
dang it's like it's not sticking.
it's not sticking. Oh no.
Hey, it's not sticky enough, Paul. There it is. Okay, now
Yeah,
it's hanging on. Okay.
and so if you wanted to have just a map of where these 30 characters are hanging out, I give them all locations. Now in the zine, I have just a basic list, right? I just have them in order, the same order that they're in the book is the
Yeah.
same order they're in, and all it has is, it has their name, has their class, has their level, and has their location. So if you wanted to say, look, I need a level 1, or there's several level 0s, by the way. Not every NPC has to be, a leveled.
Spellcaster or
Yeah,
fighter or whatever they
these are
make
just
it.
average people you're going to throw into some sort of terrible situation, maybe, that, they're just normal people. They're not like you guys out there looking for adventure per se. They just want to live their lives. And so there's a lot of 0 level characters, some 1 levels. I think the highest is maybe 10. There's a mixture of 4s and 5s, some 3s, some 2s. And so, yeah, just try to make it easy, that if a DM wants to include an NPC and they want to look up fast, what level do I need? I need a 0 level. on
Makes
first
sense.
level, third level, or I need it by class. I need a wizard. I need a a blacksmith. I need a captain of the guard. Then they can look through that list. It's just a list of those characters, and they can just say, "Oh, okay, good. What page is that on? Great, it's over there. I can find
Yeah, they
that."
don't to organize it better, right? So they don't have to sit there and flip page to page and try to.
Right, it's right at the back, and then
That's cool.
all the names in the front are linked, so they're all linked to the pages. So if you just open it up on your PDF and you want to go, "Oh, who's this guy and who's that guy?" And then the other ones will be linked as well, going back to, like I said, if you need level 1, well, what page is that on? Well, that's on page 10. It'll take you there, and you can go to that page. So
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and then people will appreciate that when they buy the piece. I'm going to go ahead and put the stream up. I got to tell you, I forgot we were doing this live.
oh no,
I'm sitting here thinking we're doing a recording.
I'll take the sharing off here because I think everybody kind of got to look at it. So I will
yeah, whatever you want to
take
do
that off,
and I can go back.
But there are questions I see.
Yeah, let's tackle some questions here. Let's see. Hey, Michael, that's Mike Stingle with Chthonic Musings. Jeff from Death Angel Shadow. Hey, Jeff. The movie character touchstones for each NPC are very helpful. Nick Gray. Nick Gray
is my friend. I've known Nick Gray for a number of years.
Why don't you field that one?
Yeah, he says, "Hey, Paul, are you randomly rolling these or curating everything or a little bit of both?" I'm just writing them straight out of my head. I'm just saying, look, there's I didn't want to go the route. I thought, oh, could I roll up some NPCs? But I wanted to have, in this case, like and when I did the dungeons, 30 Days of Dungeons, I rolled all of that. Vance, and I was using his tables and things like that, and that was all fine. That was great. But in my head, I had a certain types of characters I wanted to do, and I didn't want to go the random route. I wanted to say, well, let me go ahead and think of my own 30, ones, and I want to flavor them the kind of way I want. Not that a random table wouldn't be any good; it'd be fine. But there were just very specific ones I thought I think I have some ideas on this that I think I'd like to put out there.
Yeah, and I think in every one of these, you kind of harken back to what the inspiration was, what movie or whatever it was. Like I know I had this. Yeah. I had this picture in there, and that's from my. Sorry, it's a bad picture of you mid sentence, like this. But I was trying to grab it. You have Johnny Depp and Mordecai, and do you remember what that one was? I don't think I've seen Mordecai.
Yeah, Mordecai that's based on the potion sommelier, and it's more of his mannerisms. It's not in the movie he plays a detective of some kind, but it's really his mannerisms that and I think his name's Master Valen, who is the potion sommelier, who basically has these tasting parties with potions, and then he will sometimes have cheese with them, where you can have some cheese and a little bit of potion. You can see what their effects are, and then it could either be an outright sale, it could be an auction, it could be it's almost like, if you think of it, when you do like in the movies when they do a gun buy, and they're going through all the weapons and saying these do this and these hold this many rounds and this does, and then this is okay, let the bidding begin or whatever. They'll go through all that, and it's kind of like the same thing in the sense of having this encounter here where they're in this really plush. I'm almost thinking like what was it? Is it Elvis's jungle room or something like that? That was just kind of this,
Graceland
really,
or something.
Yeah, Graceland. Yeah, that's just kind of this really hip, kind of vibe to it, and you're tasting potions and you're eating cheese and meeting. And by the way, when you in that type of environment, that also expands out the people you're going to meet. Well, who are the heavy hitters? Who else got tickets to this thing where they're tasting potions? So you may be meeting you may meet your big bad there. You may meet, other people who are there for whatever reason that they want to buy potions. And somehow you, the wizard in your party, or the necromancer, whoever, got an invite to this thing. And now you're expanding, your world a little bit more.
That's wonderful because if we all think about it, there's inspirations everywhere, all around us. In fact, while you're telling me about this, you're reminding me of my wife and I watched the Knives Out movie, the third one here over
Yeah.
Christmas with Daniel Craig when he plays that investigator detective Benoit.
Mhm. Yeah,
I just want to say Benoit Balls, but that was a character on Archer,
there we
unrelated
go.
unrelated to Daniel Craig. But
That's right.
Benoit, whatever, he's this famous guy and he does the worst Southern accent ever. But yeah, those are funny movies, humorous movies, and kind of fun little mysteries and all that. But I'm like, what a great character to build, maybe an inquisitor, around
Oh,
who kind of has detective skills. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this is Daniel Craig with a funny accent from
yeah, yeah, and
Knives Out.
yeah, and I think too, you bring up a good point there too, is that not everybody has to be original, right? The curse of always having to be original. We all have a a gallery of
Yeah.
NPCs or of pop culture folks within our that we can model after. I mean, say what you want, Joe the lawyer picks every 70s detective
Yeah.
he can
Columbo
find
and
that he
Kojak.
bases it on them. Now he doesn't necessarily role play like them, but he does pick the names at least that way, and he's consistent that way. But I would love, I mean, who wouldn't love a Columbo, which I think was his last character, a Columbo character that's always coming back and saying, excuse me, sir, I just have one more question. And somebody doing that kind of stuff. It's just a funny quirk that you
It
go
is.
with that.
And a lot of creatives will tell you there really is nothing new under the sun, right? There's not
Yeah.
really too many new original stories. I'll go one step further and make an outrageous statement about AI. Huh, that won't raise any eyebrows. Hey, there's only 8 people watching. I think we know all of them. So, you know, they get offended. They can
They'll be fine.
send me a postcard or
They'll be fine.
something
They're all big.
with nasty comments. But, I think about this with AI, with the artwork thing. And, I know where artists are coming from. They want a livelihood and they do a thing, which is a gift and a talent and all that. And then they're angry because the AI is looking at all these other ideas that were done by human creators,
Yeah.
but where did the human creators, when they were starting to work, who did they look at? What museums did they go to? Whose portfolios did they study? It's one thing copying another thing. It's just that one isn't a human being anymore. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
like going out on a limb. So if
Yeah. We're all
Agent Deckard shows up later because he thinks I'm a replicant or whatever,
sure, we're all
yeah,
thieves, right? We're all look, if you look at oh boy, it's boy, and you bringing that up, that's a very when you talk about NPCs and you think of Edward James Olmos
yeah,
in Blade Runner,
yeah.
well, what's his quirk? He makes origami
The origami foil
and
thing,
leaves them at where he kills people,
and it
right?
was a
So,
unicorn, by the way.
yeah.
He was
And
trying to
so,
sell it.
there's these NPCs out there that if we would figure out how to capture those things and then say, well, they'd be great in this particular, or like, if you have, I mean, there are quirky, hitmen, right, in movies and things like that
Sure.
who have their little quirks about what they do. And so, I think you can, put those together and find some interesting ways to provide more threads for your players, your PCs to be able to tug on those if they want. They're there. You don't have to expand upon it. You don't have to, push your NPC. If you put enough, just a little bit of flavoring on it, we'll see where it goes. Maybe it goes nowhere, or maybe it goes down the rabbit hole. Who knows?
Yeah, who was the quirky French actor played the hitman with what's her name, Princess Amidala? I can't remember the actress's name, but she was the little kid, and he was
Uh-huh.
the hitman, and
Oh,
the cop with Gary Oldman. Is that The
the
Professional?
professional. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
what an interesting bad guy, but he has a bad job. He's an assassin, but
Yeah.
he's kind of a lovable character out of his element, having to partially raise this child and everything.
What are
Hey,
you gonna do?
Watcher DM, that's Gabriel up in Vancouver. Hey, nerds, he says, yeah, send me a fruitcake. That's better than an angry postcard. I like fruitcake, so you were joking and I'm serious. So you now owe me a fruitcake. The trick
Yeah.
is you pour a little good bourbon and just drizzle it,
Uh,
every other day.
there you go. Sedgewise says, I use the toe cutter from Mad Max as a villain all the time. There's something about unhinged certainty that terrifies people. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
They could jump off of this thing and onto the truck, and now something's wild's going on, you know? Um,
It's funny you say toe cutter. In our Monday night game, we're playing that Shadow Rim, and Better with Bacon, James Bacon is playing a wood elf, I think, cannibal. So he's got a thing for big toes, and the
ooh,
whole episode
ooh.
last Monday night was all about eating big toes and saving big toes. Now we're thinking of a name for our company of heroes, and we're thinking of something about the big toe. So yeah,
Yes.
your comment, Sedge Lewis, was not far off there for us. Gabriel says, "What about the NPCs you find in a dungeon? You would just the facts from Erudite." I don't know. He's yanking my
Yeah,
he's pulling my leg over here a
yeah.
little bit. But what about NPCs? Could you use these NPCs in a wild encounter as well, outside of a city or in a dungeon?
Sure. Yeah, all of these ones that I have here are in the wild. They're in the city. They're in some little, hamlet. They're in a village. They're in the woods. Disconnected from everything. But yeah, you could take one of these, and there's some that's where you may find them. But you could. Some of them are the adventuring type, right? So your level zeros are not there unless they were captured or unless they were enlisted. Maybe there's somebody who an NPC, right? I think players, at least some of the players I've had, the I don't know, I guess I would say the smart ones would say, hey, do you want to come along with us? Would you like to join this happy group? And sometimes maybe you bring them along to go into the dungeon with you. And maybe some party brought one of those NPCs on the adventure, and they got left there, and now they're in a trap. They're in a they're in a location that they're trapped. Maybe a trap got them, or maybe they're just trapped because they can't get out because of the monsters. So they're in a place where they can't leave because of that. So I think it's just a matter of transferring an NPC that's there. Now, why would they be in a dungeon, right? You just have to kind of noodle it a little bit and go, well, why would Captain Kenrick, why would he be in a dungeon? Was he hunting somebody? Was he trying to hunt somebody down? Or maybe he's trying to rescue his brother. Maybe his brother went into the dungeon with his troop of the Watch, and they got caught in there, and they've not been heard back. And so, Captain hires the party to go in the dungeon and go find him. So, I think you could find people down there for sure. I
More
think,
than likely, he's on the take, Paul, and he's been getting kickbacks, and he's looking for a hiding spot to put that retirement stash. And he thought nobody goes in those old ruins.
nobody goes in there.
Now
Yeah,
they'll put him in there, but his brother's been following him, watching his ass. I don't like 2D characters, whether they're the player characters or NPCs that are. I mean, we need them. We need NPCs, like we said at the very beginning, that are just cardboard cutouts to keep the game moving forward. But for a more complex NPC that might develop into something more, I want to know who their friends are. I want to know who they don't like. I want to know who their enemies are, and because that just gives you so many choices as the GM to run with it. I'm going to share my screen just for 1 second, if that's
sure.
okay here.
There was a thing on Twitter, and I don't know if they still do it. Probably one of the things that I enjoyed was write an adventure with 7 words.
Mhm.
Right. And there was a thing, write a story. Maybe it wasn't an adventure. Maybe it was just write a story. And I used to love participating in those because because of the creative borders that you have to make up something really good. You don't have, a whole paragraph to do it. You have to do it in so many words, and choosing your words just right to be able to make it, thoughtful and to engage and to pop pictures into somebody's mind. So, I would just say kudos for taking the task of saying, well, how can I do this in the least amount of words with the most amount of flavor?
Yeah. Yeah. You guys can see it up on the screen, by the way. I pulled it up here and you can see, I think the light bulb just went off for Gabriel. He's probably just getting off of work now because it's on Pacific time. So he's like sitting there with a beer or something. So that's Watch Your DM. Yeah, Gabriel, you can see on the screen here, he's made a video, a short format video on each of these. And I almost wish we could play one, or there's two things about this that I'm going to say that I really like. And you guys go watch a couple of them. You'll know what I'm talking about. He starts at the very beginning and tells you, here's the hook, this short hook. The kebabs have been stolen.
Maybe.
So he has a short hook at the beginning that entices you to want to learn more. And all of you are GMs. Our little wheels start turning right away. You cannot help it. And you're going to think of stuff in what you're currently playing or currently running or just ran recently and kind of go, oh, I could use this character this way or another way. And like we said, you really only maybe need one of these a session to really open up some doors. And the second thing is, I don't have a screenshot of it, but Paul also during the video actually shows you kind of a stat sheet, right? So I assume when he puts these together, he'll have the stat sheets and what you would need if it ever gets to that. You know, some of these you might never need their 6 abilities or their, you know, their attack skills and bonuses and so forth. But if you did, and if they became maybe part of a party for a while and joined you for the, you know, a session or 3, you don't know where it's going to go. Again, I'm lazy. It's all been done for me. It's right there. You know, thank you, Paul, and solid work here. Anyway, any questions from any of you guys? That's a good sign that I've talked to you. I'm running out of steam. So
well, no, I was gonna say too that a lot of books, you know, a lot of things, and you know, everybody writes very differently. Somebody wants to have an NPC that's completely statted out. Like I don't put like the 6 abilities. Like none of them have this. You know, these are just things like, you know, you'll figure it out. I say to the DM, you can figure this out. I don't need to give you everything. I don't need to give you, because if you're DMing for a reason here. And whether you're a new DM or a pro or whatever, you can look at this and go, oh, yeah. So he's got this many hit points. It's got this armor class and he uses this weapon, usually has a bonus. You know, where like, I think it's another one of my kind of favorite characters is the Huntress. And, you know, I wanted to pick a kind of a random, you know, kind of a random monster, right? So Anastasia Rathmarsh was attacked by Quaggoth, which is, you know, kind of a creature that was a human at some point and got into the Underdark and affiliated with the Drow, and then they became these monstrous creatures. You know, so when you have, you know, somebody that you know, is a simple, like she's a level 6 ranger, half elf, 56 hit points, armor class 16. She gets plus 3, plus 4 versus Quaggoths. So if that's what you know. So if you have Quaggoths in your game, you know that she gets bonuses towards that, being a ranger. And so it's kind of like your chosen enemy, right? And so yeah, so when you have that NPC and you have a minimal amount of stats to look at, I think it's just a lot easier to run. And like I said, I'd rather give the DM credit and say, you got this. You don't need me telling you everything about this NPC. You're going to get this little bit and you're going to take it and run it in the direction you want to go.
Absolutely. And just really, really well done. I look forward to the rest of the month and I hope you're doing well with the pace of where are you a couple ahead or how did you do it? What was the process? Did you start with 30 days and sketched out 30 rough ideas or are you still spinning them out for later in the month?
Yeah, I'm still spinning them out. I mean, some of them a day ahead. Some of them I just, you know, sometimes I have to
let you go so you can get one tomorrow morning.
Sometimes I have to just be in the moment, right? Sometimes, like I said, just for bandwidth sake, just for like, it's depending on, it's in the morning or whatever. Usually mornings are the best time for me to do it. So I'll say, hey, all right, we're going to do this. Usually the process, if you were to watch my outtakes of me making these videos, I would make a gajillion dollars on YouTube, but I would not post them because they're so they're so outrageous. It's me just yelling at the screen. You idiot. What is wrong with you?
I
Do
don't think
not
I've ever
say
seen a
this.
reel like that. I mean, I've seen people inject little boo-boos and airs and things, but just making a whole like blooper reel, that's a really
Oh,
great idea.
oh yeah, I don't want to do that. It's like, no, it'd be like, no, Paul's just lost his mind here. But in doing and trying to do it, I try to do it. Like I said, I was one ahead today. I'll probably do one in the morning, but they are all sketched out. They're all of them are written, all about, and sometimes the thing is too, is that when I'm reading it, I will get an idea, and then I'll go back and I will change I'll change the verbiage. I'll change a word. I'll put something in it that I'd thought of before, like what color hair do they have, or something that would that would make it even more flavorful for the DM that's going to drop it into their it's one less thing for them to think about. If they don't want to think about color hair, that's fine. I'm going to throw that in there, and then that's to build in the mind of your players. So but so when I'm just doing it in the moment, I'll think of something, I'll hit pause on my record, I'll change a few things, and then I'll go ahead and I'll record it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I can tell you this, if you want to know what tomorrow's is going to be.
Please.
Tomorrow I am doing, let's see, we have Father Og. Father Og is an herbalist snake handler.
So kind of a shaman.
Kind of, but that's not how he started out. So there's a story behind it.
Yeah. So
why he is
combining
now
disparate ideas, but he started out as a circus performer,
yeah.
and then later in life he became, devout and pursued shamanism or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And Father Og in this case, he was a little bit higher up. He was a little higher. He wasn't in the circus, but he was I'll say this, he was I would go as far as say he was a teacher professor, maybe, who wound up, some things, went bad in his life.
But see, that's cool. That's the idea you were talking about earlier, where it's not just, here's this NPC, one idea about them. You actually have a little layers of 2 or 3 things. Mm-hmm. So on the surface, they may approach this person because they're a blacksmith. But then you find out that in a previous life, they were, I don't know, an acrobat or something.
Yeah.
You need them to help with a heist. Well, then at that point, it has nothing to do with him being the blacksmith that everybody knows him at. Now he's been pulled into another work for one of the other secondary or tertiary parts of the story.
Exactly. Right? Just like everybody, just like PCs have, right? We encourage them to say, well, before you were an adventurer, what were you? Right? What did you do? What was your life goal? Now you're out here slaying dragons and doing stuff, but that, you probably weren't doing that your whole life. So, and of course, then we as DMs want to give them bonus, and when we give them, all the things of why they can do what they can do, or how do you know what you know? Right? Yeah. How would you know that? Well, when I was, a kid, I was in the circus, and I was a clown or an entertainer or whatever I was. So I would like to use that as part of my shtick that I'm going to do to distract the big bad, and I'm going to juggle and sing songs. So then you roll with it from there.
Yeah, just really fun stuff. Really, guys, go check this out and go watch these videos. And then when Paul decides to put these together and put them up for sale,
yeah, pre-sale is now open. But you gave me the idea. There is a pre-sale happening.
Good.
And there's a link in the private chat. I put a link in the private chat.
Content that GMs are going to want. I think want and
well, I hope so. There's, like I said, after another, let's see, what is this issue? Technically, it's issue number 11 of my Crit Happens series. There's a couple of others that are not part of the hex crawl of horror kind of thing that I went with. But yeah, I would hope that for me at least, I'm working on this and building it out to where, hey, you could buy the whole bundle and you got yourself a whole setting. You got yourself a whole setting complete with NPCs, complete with deities, complete with cults, all the things. So
I think I put Flint Fireforges, aka Paul. I think I put his link in the show notes. I don't remember now, but when this comes out, if I didn't, I'll put it in there for you. But just go to drive through and look for Flint Fireforge. or character driven with a K. Would that work also for them? I know that's another operating name you use.
What's that?
Character driven, like on X?
on X I am. Yeah, I'm
Okay, but not on drive through. Everything's Flint Fireforge.
On drive through, it's not actually.
Oh no, it's Tinker. Oh, this guy has 3 different names. He's like Sybil with all these multiple personalities.
It's Table, and I didn't want to get. The problem is, I just didn't want to get sued by Margaret Weiss, and you know, I say, well, I don't. It's okay if I'm a persona on a thing, but I didn't want to necessarily be the author, or you know, or even that to people think that it's all Dragonlance material. That I'm writing somehow. Yeah. So I went with Tabletop Tinker just to kind of separate that out. But all my, you know, all my stuff's in there as well. So they'll figure out very quickly.
It's better yet if they just look for Crit Happens.
If they look for Crit, if they just look for
drive through, they'll get to you that way too. But again, these books are really inexpensive. Before we wrap it up, I do want to.
I want my $2.
I want my damn $2. He's selling these for. This is crazy. You know, hey Paul, whatever you know, I don't know your business or how you do your business, but it sure seems like they're worth a lot more than $2 to me.
They might be. I don't know. Maybe I need to raise my prices. Who knows? But right now, $2.
And then you could get T-shirts, you know, with your logo, which is also maybe a copyright infringement problem. But anyway, we'll work.
Well, I already got I still have my Bring the Doom shirt, so that's out there in the wild.
That's right, you do. I forgot about that. But you could have decals and bumper stickers, and you know, next thing you know, you're huge.
Exactly.
One parting shot here, not shot. One parting note is the one that stuck with me was the debt collector character, and it's a small thing, but it's just a good example of your thinking on these videos. You talk all about his story and, you know, and collecting money, and he collects money for this and that, and people owe him this and that. And at the end, you threw a little twist at the end. It was something like, or perhaps he owes people money, you know, so the debt collector is actually in debt. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Now we're weaving together the possibilities for a really interesting.
That's right. Story. Would you help? Does the whole thing turn on the fact that now they want to help this guy get away from whoever the big bad is that's forcing them into debt collecting? You know, I don't know.
There's a bounty out for him, and they want to, you know, tie him up and turn him in. Yeah,
could very well be.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Well, anyway, hey, look, thanks for doing this. You have any parting notes or anything that I missed you want to put out there for anybody?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about it.
It's always good to talk with you. I do appreciate it and appreciate the time. Thanks everyone for checking it out, and check the show notes for all the links, and go watch these videos from Flint Fireforge, aka Paul Turner, terrific creator in our hobby. You guys have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.